In this weather update, we're forecasting many tropical disturbances in the Atlantic, as well as the ongoing heat in the central and southern United States. Everything you need to know and more is coming right up. Alright, welcome back into another More Weather Forecast video. My name is Becca Moore, and I'm back here in the weather studio. On last Thursday, I was on the Storm Front Freaks podcast. We saw Tropical Storm Hillary hit California, so we've seen pretty active weather. I did have a couple outdoor updates, but now I'm back here in the weather studio. And if you want to watch the Storm Front Freaks podcast or listen to it, you can go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your favorite apps to listen to podcasts. And also you can go on Stormfront Freaks YouTube and watch the raw live stream of it. So let's get straight into the forecast, looking at the NWS hazards currently. And all these pinks and purples and oranges, those are excessive heat warnings. Most of this is excessive heat warnings, including Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, Des Moines, Iowa, all the way down to Little Rock, Arkansas, and all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana. So a large chunk of the middle of the country is dealing with these excessive heat warnings, which is actually why I wasn't even allowed to go outside for recess today at school, because that's how hot it is, and it's also humid. It's just mix those two together, and you've got a really high feels-like temperature, or heat index is what we call it. We also do have these heat advisories in orange extending over towards the Atlanta area in Georgia and over towards the Wichita Falls area in Texas. So as you can see, we've just got this huge heat dome in the central United States, and then these greens over here are flood watches. Down here to Texas, flood warnings all the way up into Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and Utah. That's due to the remnants of Tropical Storm Hillary, but these flood warnings, flood watches, and coastal flood warnings down here in Texas are due to the tropical storm that just hit there in Texas. So let's look at the tropical storm there that just hit in Texas. You can see right here, as we go into earlier this afternoon, it was pretty strong. Not a huge, big-time, tropical disturbance. We did see some strong winds along the beach, but not really damaging. Really, the only thing we were worried about with this storm was flooding, and that's why we do have those flood warnings and flood watches in place, because as you can see here with the infrared satellite, you can see we are having a lot of moisture with this storm. So all the way into really tracking along the Rio Grande River here from Brownsville, Texas, up towards El Paso, we are going to see this swath of moisture in this area as we go into the next couple of hours. And then tomorrow, by tomorrow, we'll be rain-free, probably sunny again along the coastline there in Corpus Christi down to Brownsville, Texas. Now, let's look at the two-day graphical tropical weather outlook here from the National Hurricane Center. Harold was the tropical storm that just made landfall, I guess you could call it, there in Texas, but it now has weakened to a tropical depression already. We do have some areas of interest here in the Atlantic Basin besides what we saw with Tropical Storm Harold. So right now we do have Tropical Storm Franklin there to the south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. We do have post-tropical cyclone Gert as well, so we're not expecting much with that. And then we do have two areas to watch, 10% areas, which probably aren't going to develop into anything, but the important part to look at is it's showing that we are seeing these waves coming off of Africa, and it only takes one of these waves to turn into a hurricane and majorly affect the United States. That's why you really need to be prepared if you live along the Gulf, if you live from North Carolina southward down onto the eastern Florida coast, because this is prime tropical season. This is really when we're getting into the peak of the season, and right as we're climbing up to the peak, we see this action, which is what we saw last year, and we saw Hurricane Ian's in September. So we still got the rest of August, the whole month of September, and October. So it's really important to be prepared, because again, there's Saharan dust, there's wind shear that could tear apart these storms, which is what we want to happen, but still, if one can squeeze through that wind shear and that Saharan dust and really get into the Gulf with those hot, record warm water temperatures, we could really see problems happening. So that's why I urge all of you guys along the Gulf and along the Atlantic from North Carolina southward to Florida to really be prepared out there. Now, let's take a closer look at Tropical Storm Franklin right now. Not a big wind field at the moment, but it is expected to strengthen into possibly a hurricane. But for now, just for the Haiti and Dominican Republic, where there are tropical storm watches right now, we are just looking at a tropical storm. Rain, which means flooding, is definitely going to be possible. We could have feet of rain in that area. I know we have flooding there a lot, and it's a very poor area, not very well water distribution with those sewers. So we really do need to be watching out if we're in the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Some strong winds, but mainly that flooding is really what we're watching. Also here into parts of the Bahamas, we have tropical storm warnings, and then this storm is kind of going to meander once it goes north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but could become a hurricane. So Bermuda, you're going to be on watch, because by 2 p.m. Sunday, according to the National Hurricane Center, this baby could become a hurricane. Tropical Storm Franklin could become Hurricane Franklin, so we're going to have to watch that. But it's looking like it is not going to affect the United States once again, which is very good news. But again, Haiti, Dominican Republic, you need to be prepared for that possibly intense flooding there. Now let's look at the European model to play this out and kind of time it out and see what's going to happen. So as we go into around 7 p.m. today, you can see this storm is Franklin is You can see this storm Franklin is starting to get into the Dominican Republic and Haiti here. We're just going to have training of rain for pretty much all day Wednesday, and that's why we could see up to a foot of rain there in the Dominican Republic and in Haiti. So you really need to be prepared for flooding. We're just going to see a lot of thunderstorms as well down towards Venezuela, Colombia, Jamaica as well throughout the day tomorrow and into Thursday. And we could see a couple of tropical waves coming off of Africa there. So we really do need to watch Africa as those tropical waves are coming off of Africa, and they could turn into tropical storms and eventually hurricanes and possibly affect the United States as we go into late August and September. So again, we're going to have to watch that, but for right now, we're not seeing anything too serious. Again, Franklin is going to strengthen as it goes to the north of the Dominican Republic, but probably not affecting anywhere. Maybe Haiti, maybe Bermuda. We'll be definitely having to watch you guys in Bermuda, but it looks like it's going to skirt around the island. That's what the European model is saying for now. Again, models aren't gospel. This is probably going to change since this is pretty far out into next Tuesday. But you can see not much action, which is good news, but still, it only takes one to cause billions of dollars of damage and take many lives. So that's right, we really just need to be prepared. Again, like I said, if you're along the coast there in the Gulf and from North Carolina southward towards Florida. So again, you really do need to be prepared. Tropical activity is probably going to ramp up. It already has, but probably going to ramp up for the United States as we go into September. Now, let's look at the severe weather aspect. And my last forecast video I did in here last Monday, I think, was that severe weather was finally calming down. We saw this incredible stretch of severe weather, slight risks pretty much every single day for a long stretch. But now, like I forecasted, it has really calmed down. The day one outlook for today, you can see three marginal risks. For tomorrow, another marginal risk up into the Great Lakes region, and then the next day, another marginal risk in the Great Lakes region, including Chicago, down towards Columbus, Ohio, and then day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and day 8 do not have any areas to watch for right now. So that is great. We really don't need a lot of severe weather. It looks like I'm going to have to be shifting my attention over towards the tropics, as we were having active severe weather, but it has calmed down since early last week. So that is very good. And that about wraps up this more weather forecast video. Again, you got to be prepared down there if you're in North Carolina, South Carolina, through Georgia and Florida, along the Gulf there, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. We just saw Tropical Storm Harold, which was a hint that tropical storm season, hurricane season is really picking up here. So you, again, need to be prepared. Thankfully, severe weather is calming down, so make sure you subscribe and go follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. Stay prepared out there, and I will see you soon with more weather.